Hello everyone, my name is PY, and welcome to Digitally Downloaded's first look at Deck 13 and Focus Home Interactive's The Surge 2. Picking up from after the events of the first, your return to the world will be through a custom protagonist who wakes up from a coma in a medical ward within a detention center after they are psychically yelled at to wake up. Not quite sure what to do, you find the closest thing to a weapon, which just happens to be a defibrillator set. Finding out that you are in a detention center and need to get out as there's a giant beast running within, you'll soon find yourselves in the streets of Jericho City, which have been walled off and are under quarantine from something called the defrag. Like its predecessor, the Surge 2 is what is now basically known as a Soulsborne. Based off the Soul series in essence, both the Surge and the Surge 2 are more than simply clones. Taking what was learned from Lords of the Fallen with its gothic noir atmosphere, Deck 13 have created something that stands tall on its own feet, and the Surge 2 takes that futuristic action adventure horror a step further. Taking a step back for a moment, and I did use the word horror. A quick glance at the visuals, and one might say, but that's an action adventure, and they wouldn't be wrong. But the horror comes more from the themes behind the atmosphere than the atmosphere itself, which can be pretty chilling at times. The horror from the first came from the fact that almost everyone you came across was a brain-fried tech zombie wanting to tear you limb from limb, in often a very dark and cramped spaces when inside the factory grounds. The horror from the second comes partly from the atmosphere, but mostly from the fact that you aren't going up against zombies this time. You're going up against other humans that know full well what they are doing, and they will hunt you down and tear you limb from limb just for the scrap that it will bring them. Hiding around corners, hiding from up above, and there will be a few jump scares if you're jumpy enough like me. Certain locations help to pass on the horror more than others, such as dark alleys or broken underpass sewage passageways, but it's the actual human element in this new world gone to hell that takes the crown of horror. At the beginning of the Surge, before it all happened, you took control of a man named Warren who was crippled from the waist down. Rolling his chair into surgery, he prepared himself to be outfitted with what is known as an exo-rig, which would allow him to walk again. Strapped down to the table, however, is the start of this all going wrong as the system short circuits and operates on him without any anesthesia. Waking up from this torture, you're dragged out as the robots think you're nothing more than a corpse. Find the closest thing to a weapon, you defend yourself and head off into your new nightmare. Moving into a different direction than the first, you're now trapped in a city where something called the defrag has caused a quarantine, and your only way out is through a prison and the ensuing police precinct. Opting voluntarily for an exo rig, your new gear melds smoothly with your body as it's now a different technology to embed itself upon your body. Using it to pry open doors and carry weapons that would be almost impossible to carry otherwise, you break out of the precinct and into the streets. With all of the changes in direction that the Surge 2 takes, combat remains fairly familiar even if it does have its own set of changes. Enemies come in different types, from quick and fast to slow and heavy hitting. Each requires different tactics to take out, and there's plenty of variety within each type. Some will come at you with single-handed weapons, others will come at you with dual blades, while others will run away and try to deploy turrets or robot spiders to shock or blow up on you. And that's not even counting getting thrown bricks or Molotov cocktails. To tackle these enemies, you'll be targeting the various parts of their bodies to either hit them where it hurts the most, or hit them where you want to obtain what they have. Head, body, left or right arms and legs. Each body part on both you and your enemies can be equipped with various pieces of gear, and if you want that gear, you'll most likely have to take it off your enemy's corpses. To do so, you'll have to get your enemy down to very low hit points, and have enough stored energy for a finishing blow that will carve the part where you were aiming for. It's a gruesome process, but it's a necessary one if you want to survive, which once again wraps into the horror aspect of this world. Where things have changed from the original is that now as you level up and increase the capacity of your core, you'll be getting bonus points to be applied into your health, stamina, or power. These points are not permanent, so you can play around with the allocation and find out what works best for you or the scenarios that you'll be encountering. Need more health? Put more points into health. Need more stamina, which is always a good thing, especially with heavy weapons? Add to your stamina. Your core itself, though, has not changed, and as you level up your core, you'll get more points that can be used to equip implants or physical armor parts. For gaining new equipment, weapons are gained by defeating enemies and just picking them up off the ground. This lets you try them out and see if they're something that you really want to use or if you just want to store them for later use. Armor pieces, however, need to be created from schematics which can be acquired by the dismemberment of those specific parts and hoping that the schematic actually drops. If a schematic doesn't drop, you'll be getting grades of certain equipments which are known as marks. Mark 1, 2, 3 will all be depending on the enemy level, and stronger gear or upgrading for stronger gear is going to require these greater grades of equipment. To equip this gear, each individual piece will require a portion of your core points. Now, what's interesting about these parts is that just because a piece may be stronger than another, it doesn't always mean that they'll take more core points. Over time, it's clear that everything will cost more and more, so you'll not only need to use your tech scrap to create and upgrade new gear, but you're going to need to use it to level up yourself for more core points to be able to equip the new pieces that you'll be cutting off of your enemies. Finally, in our first look at the Surge 2 is the level design. Just because the Surge 2 is supposed to be bigger, it doesn't mean that it's gone open world. Instead, the environments are still Soulsborne / Metrovania, in which that everything is interconnected as long as you explore enough and take the risks in order to find out where those creepy paths actually lead. Locked doors, magnetic paths, and apparently hook lines, which I think Warren uses in the very beginning, or that's my guess as to who Jericho's guardian angel is. And between all of those, there's no road that cannot be traveled. Also, being in a city instead of a factory, it allows you to cross paths with different types of people, whether they're there to help, to be helped, or to kill you in a meat locker. I will get revenge for that one. But, however, well played, I really should not have walked into that room. Having more people to talk and interact with is also a welcome bonus to the series. It makes the environment feel a lot more alive, even if there are tons of people in it trying to kill you. At least now you have people that are filling up the space in a good way, whether or not they're part of the main story or part of a side quest.
Well, that's mighty generous, Gav.
With the new choices in direction, the changes in combat, and some other changes that we'll cover later on once the rest of the experience unlocked, Deck 13 and Focus Home Interactive's The Surge 2 is looking really good. This has been PY for Digitally Downloaded, and while we're waiting for the final version, I'm going to go work on my boss battling tactics.
You're gonna regret this!